Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this is going to be a brief little review for Marvel's Superior Spider-Man issues 2 and 3, respectively. Written by Dan Slott, with art by Ryan Stegman and Edgar Delgado, and lettered by Chris Eliopoulos. As Superior number 2 opens, the former Doc Ock, now Spider-Man, is being awarded accolades for his having dispatched the plans of the air quotes new Sinister Six's building of a weather machine. Jumping into the fray is Mayor J. Jonah Jameson, who's uncharacteristically eager to shake Spidey's hand and tell him how he now admits to just how wrong he's been about the wall crawler. Set in the background to this is the spirit of Peter Parker, who watches the scene unfold from the great beyond incredulously, as he is still very well attached to his former physical form, screaming that what he's witnessing is Crazy Town Banana Pants, and for all intents and purposes, it certainly is. But this marks only the beginning of Doc Ock's settling into Peter's life and effectively changing its course to better suit himself. A large chunk of the focus of issue 2 is Ock's attempted wresting of Pete's former on-again, off-again love and self-professed soulmate, Mary Jane Watson. A sequence which opens with Ox Parker suggesting confidently that everything is going according to plan between them, leaving Pete begging from the beyond how no one can see through this, as Ock is saying supervillain stuff. There's a less disturbing element to the attempted dating rituals Ock goes on with MJ in this issue. It's played more comedically at first than anything else. This because none of the dates he goes on go anywhere near his initial equations, leaving Parker to mock him somewhat gratefully for each failed attempt at winning her over. Ock does get very close to doing so in one sequence by decking himself out as Spidey and taking MJ swinging through the nighttime cityscape, but this too lands him in the proverbial doghouse. It also brings us the closest we get to disturbing in the issue, as Ock accesses Pete's memories of his intimate relations with MJ. Ugh. But in the aftermath of this, we see that Ock is not to be outdone and actually considers broadening his interest in women to more than just MJ. There isn't much time to dabble in this aspect of the story, however, as set against his repeatedly failed dating attempts is a sinister plot unfolding relating to the Vulture, whose former nest, as it turns out, is the club MJ is currently managing. She ends up caught in the crossfire of a cast of the Vulture's minions as they swoop in to spirit away some unknown item, and to throw Spidey or anyone else off their trail, they drop Mary Jane from a rooftop height. Ock, showing up just in the nick of time, manages to save her, and it is this that actually wins him his greatest success at capturing her heart. Yet Peter's past ultimately directs Ock's next course of action. Being that Pete knew the dangers of his being Spider-Man and what that could mean to MJ's safety, Ock actually effectively dumps her, all told. What is interesting as issue 2 closes is how this relates to MJ's roommate of sorts, another of Pete's former girlfriends, Carly Cooper, whom doesn't feel at all right about the recent changes that have come over Pete and Spider-Man. There's a very brief hint that she was told by Peter while he was still inhabiting Ock's body formerly that he was not, in fact, Doc Ock, and this thread follows through to issue number 3. J. Jonah, it turns out, as issue 3 opens, has fashioned a Spidey signal, along the lines of a bat signal, that Ock's Spider-Man destroys almost as soon as he sees it, as he contemptuously tells Jonah only an idiot would put into effect a beacon that would tell every one of Spider-Man's enemies where he could be found at any given time. But this really only serves as a precursor to Jonah's reasoning for wanting Spidey's attention. It turns out they've learned about Vulture's recent doings and want the 411 on whatever Ock's Spidey knows, as well as to set him up with Carly in the hopes that their investigative partnership will lead to Vulture's ultimate capture. Ock, naturally, has plans of his own as to how to deal with Vulture, and as he's readying them, Peter is pulled into some trippy old memories of Ock's having worked with the Vulture in the past as part of the Sinister Six, as well as a somewhat abusive childhood Ock suffered at the hands of a deadbeat dad. The latter memory playing largely into Ock's Spidey uncovering that the Vulture's goons aren't robots or circus midgets anymore, but now they're children. This really ramps up Ock's ire, and what follows is a brilliant and intense fight sequence in the skies over New York between the two, Vulture nearly having the upper hand for a little bit until Ock utilizes creatively the spider sentries he's invented to effectively take Vulture out, just short of killing him. Carly, who is on the scene at the culmination, isn't so easily understanding of this new Spider-Man's tactics, and the ghostly Peter seems to be assured that she has decided this Parker and the one she formerly knew are not one and the same. There's an evolving progression to Slott's tongue-in-cheek humor that largely began the series. It picks up very well in issue number 2 and masterfully winds down to a much more subdued level as more ominous and perhaps sinister aspects drift more to the forefront between issues 2 and 3. Slott proves here he is capable of writing palpable tension and intriguing pathos as much as he is laughs. There are comics that you read sometimes that give you the sense while flipping through single issues that there's no actual plan to the overall arc, that they're just filling in the gaps in between the beginning and the end. Yet that's not the case here, at least to me. Slott seems to know exactly what he wants to do with this story, one that I still feel concrete assurance in being a very compelling one. And the art largely complements this. There are occasional cartoonish characterizations, exaggerated features, and the like that seem to be trying to emphasize the lunacy behind the grand design of the story's focus, in that it's purposely being written, knowing full well the concept to be as insane as it is intriguing. The best sequences to me being the aforementioned battle between Vulture and Ock over New York. Reading these two issues back to back in one sitting, as opposed to weeks apart, really made it feel much more fluid and a satisfying if stunning conclusion that may not have been as resounding had I had to wait those weeks in between them. But so far, 3 issues in, I'm still interested and eager to see where Slott's going with this tale. I'm loving the humor, the drama, the tension, and the in-jokes like Ox ordering Captain Picard's favorite beverage from Star Trek The Next Generation, tea, Earl Grey, hot, in exactly those words. And I look forward to continuing to ogle the colorful and fitting art that accompanies the unfolding plot. And so that'll be pretty much it for me on these issues. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below as to whether you're reading and or digging or not Superior Spider-Man. I'm always open to hearing from those who prefer more classic Spidey stuff, as I'm looking for some trade suggestions I could eventually look for. And otherwise, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.